Hi, welcome to Lesson 3 in Unit 1 of Music Language Basics. This is where the magic starts happening. In Lesson 1 and 2, you filled out 5 of these, and you're going to want to do Lesson 1 and 2 before you do Lesson 3. And have these handy, okay? And we're going to start working on our 3M chart, which looks like this, okay? And it's still easy. What I want you to do is look at your key of C, and the scale that you have written there for key of C, you're going to write it in the top row of your 3M chart. So starting right here, C, D, E, F, G, like that. And when you're done, it's going to look like this. C, D, E, F, G. And you'll notice we still see our half steps, and here's a whole step, and we still see our half step there, which I think it helps to be able to see that. And the cool thing that happens now is we're going to make a little shift in thinking. So far we've been talking about notes. Let me make sure you know. A note is one tone. That is a C note. If I play a C chord, that's more than one tone. Actually, what it is C-E-G. Remember when we spelled a C chord? So every note I'm playing is either C or an E or a G or a C or E. And that's why that's a C chord. Now, when we write our scale on the 3M, we're going to shift our thinking a little bit. This can be the C major scale, but this is also a list of the chords that you use when you play a song in the key of C major. Music is made out of scales, and so if you're playing a song that's in the key of C, the melody is going to be using these notes, and the chords are going to be these chords. And right now I'm going to play you a song that has a C chord, an F chord, and a G chord. So let me name the chords as I play them. C chord, F chord, G chord, C chord, G chord, C chord. Look at them on your chart. Notice that under Roman numeral number 1 is C. That's because C is your first note in the C scale, so C is called your one chord. You've heard people talk about naming chords with numbers. That's all it is. C chord comes first, then D chord, then E chord. So F chord is called your 4 chord, and see where G chord, I think you're looking at the right thing. Oh, I can't see. See where G chord is your 5 chord. So now, instead of saying C, F, G, I'm going to say 1, 4, 5. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1. Ta-da. So if you need a minute for that to sink in, push pause. But believe me, if you do your homework, it's going to seem easy. And it's all right here. It tells you that C is your 1 chord. It tells you that F is your 4 chord, and it tells you that G is your 5 chord. So let's look at key of G now, and that's going to be the next one. So from your paper that has key of G on it, copy key of G onto the next row of your 3M chart. So you're going to have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So the same scale that you had on your key of G paper, you're going to have right here on the next row. So notice that in the key of G, G is your 1 chord. In the key of G, C is your 4 chord, and D is your 5 chord. Okay? So I'm going to play the same song now. Still 1, 4, and 5, but I'm starting, now we're in the key of G, it might be difficult for my voice too. It depends. I haven't practiced. It's gonna be high. And that's why you want to be able to change keys, because if you're trying to sing a song and it pushes your voice out of your comfort range, you can put it in a different key and be comfortable and sound like a good singer, which that's how good singers do it. They know how to be in the right key. So now I'm going to say it with numbers. 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1, which is G, C, and D, G, G, D, and G. So, can you guess what we're going to do next? Next, we're going to key of D. And I want you to notice a new thing now. Notice in the key of G, the 5th note is D, the 5 chord is D, and what we're doing next is key of D. So what we're doing is taking the 5th note, or whatever the 5 chord is, and that's the key. That's how we're choosing the next key, by taking the 5th of the key that we were in. So now we're going to write D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Okay? So what we're making, and one thing you can do with a chart like this is it becomes a chart you can use to transpose. You don't want it to become a crutch, and you don't want to always use the chart. Eventually you'll be able to do it in your head. And I'll give you some tips on how to do it in your head. I don't know, I was planning on lesson 1 through 3. Maybe there'll be a lesson 4 about that. So anyway, now this shows us in our key of D what our 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord is. D, G, and A. So, same song, but now the 1 chord is D. D, yeah, D chord, G chord, A chord, D chord, A chord, D. Or think of it this way. 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1. And you'll notice that's a little better for my voice in key of D. So guess what key we're doing next? See, remember I said you're going to understand why? So what is the 5th note in key of D? And what is the 5 chord in key of D? It's A. So we're going to key of A next. And you can use the A, key of A paper that you have. And you're going to write A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Same scale you have on your key of A paper. And now you can see what the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord is in key of A. So I'm going to play 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord in the key of A. Now A is my 1 chord. La, 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 la. A, E chord, A. 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1. And you know what's next. What's the 5th note? What is the 5 chord? E. So E comes next. And you're going to write E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. And now you can see what your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord is in key of E. And the song will sound like this. Da, 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 da. A chord, B chord, E chord, E chord, E chord, E chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 1. So yeah, I know I've been saying it's 3 lessons, but I'm going to make a 4th lesson. In the 4th lesson, we're going to talk about your homework, and we're going to talk about what you can do, some of the cool things that this chart will do for you, and what you can do. They're really, believe me, really simple things you can put into your practice as you learn a new song that will just naturally help you memorize. So what, like, you'll know when you're in the key of D, you'll be able to know what the 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord is without looking at this. And there's some very easy ways to just develop some habits. And if you use these habits when you're learning music, then you will just gradually, very easily memorize these things. And then it's kind of like you have this knowledge right there for you, you know, at a moment's notice when you need it. It's right there. So believe me, it's easy. So lesson 4, I will talk about your homework and your habits that will help you put this in your memory banks. Okay, see you in lesson 4.